Have you ever been standing at a store, just staring at two things, and wondered what is really going on in your head as you make a choice? Well, it might feel like a gut feeling, but your brain is actually running this incredibly powerful economic program. And in this explainer, we are going to pull back the curtain and unpack the hidden logic behind pretty much every single decision you make. So let's just jump right in with a super simple choice. Imagine you're at a cafe, you've got just enough cash for either a coffee or a sandwich. You can't get both, so how do you decide? This little moment, this small dilemma, it's actually the perfect window into the biggest challenge in economics, one that you and I face every single day. And that right there is the core conflict. At our core, we have unlimited wants, right? We always want the next cool gadget, the better vacation, you name it. But, and this is the big but, we have limited money. This constant tension between what we desire and what we can actually afford is the engine that drives the entire science of consumer choice. To even begin to understand our choices, economists start with one big, powerful assumption, that we're rational. We're not just out there buying things at random. Nope. We are all on a mission, whether we realize it or not, to squeeze the most possible happiness, what they call utility, out of every single dollar we spend. Okay, so if the goal is to maximize this utility, this happiness, how on earth do we measure it? I mean, it seems so abstract, right? But economists actually have a couple of pretty clever ways to think about it. So they gave this satisfaction a name, utility, and they even gave it a unit of measurement, the util. I know, it sounds a little like something out of a video game, right? But it's just a way to think about happiness in numbers. So if that sandwich gives you, say, 50 utils of satisfaction, and the coffee only gives you 40, well, the choice starts to look a lot like a simple math problem. Now, there are kind of two camps when it comes to thinking about this. The cardinal view says, yes, we can assign exact numbers, like a score in a game. This pizza is worth 100 utils. But the ordinal view is a bit more chill. It says, you know what, we don't need exact numbers. We just need to know what we prefer. We can rank our choices. And that's actually enough to build a whole science of decision-making. Okay, now for a concept I guarantee you have felt, even if you had no idea it had a fancy economic name. I call it the first bite rule, and it's an absolutely crucial piece of this whole puzzle. Just think about pizza. That first slice, it's pure bliss. The second one is still really, really good. But by the time you're on your fifth slice, the extra satisfaction is pretty much gone. That is the law of diminishing marginal utility. And marginal is just the economist word for the happiness you get from one more unit. This law says that feeling always, eventually, goes down. And hey, look at the numbers. They back this up completely. As you eat more slices, your total happiness keeps going up for a while, sure, but look at that marginal utility column. The joy from each new slice. It drops from 4 to 3, all the way down to 1. That's the law, right there in the data. And when you look at it on a chart, it's just so clear. It's like a staircase heading down. Each new bar, each new slice of pizza is smaller than the one before it. This downward slope is fundamental. It's the economic reason we finally say, okay, I'm full, and stop buying something, even if we really enjoy it. All right, so we're trying to max out our happiness. And we get that the joy from any one thing eventually starts to fade. But there's one more giant piece of the puzzle we have to bring into the mix, the cold, hard reality of your wallet. This is what economists call the budget constraint. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It is the hard reality of your income versus the prices of things. It's the reason you had to choose between the coffee and the sandwich in the first place. You can desire endless pizza, but it's your budget that draws the line between what you want and what's actually possible. Okay, we have all the ingredients now, right? Our desire to maximize utility, the first bite rule, and our budget. So how do we put it all together to find that one perfect choice? Economists call the sweet spot consumer equilibrium. Let's try to solve a little puzzle with this idea. We're looking at Miss Pereira's shopping. We know the prices of eggs and milk, and we know the extra happiness, the marginal utility she got from the last of each one she bought. So the big question is, did she spend her money perfectly? Is she getting the absolute most happiness she can? Now, to figure this out, we can't just look at the raw happiness points. We have to see what's giving her the most bang for her buck. So we divide the marginal utility by the price. For eggs, she gets 4.5 utils for every single rupee she spends, but for milk, it's only 2.8. And there it is. That's the big reveal. Her spending is unbalanced.
That last rupee she spent on eggs delivered way more happiness than her last rupee spent on milk. And what that means is she could have been happier without spending a single extra rupee. She's not at her sweet spot.
So what's the fix? It's actually pretty simple. She needs to reshuffle her spending. She should buy fewer milks and more eggs. And here's the cool part. Because of that first bite rule, the next egg she buys will give her slightly less marginal utility, bringing that 4.5 number down. At the same time, by buying less milk, the last milk she does buy becomes more valuable to her. She just keeps adjusting until the bang for your buck is equal for both. And that is equilibrium. So that's how we find the sweet spot using numbers. But what if you're in that other camp, the one that says you can't really put a number on happiness? Well, the ordinal approach visualizes the problem instead. First, we map out what you want with something called an indifference curve. Think of it like a map of your happiness. Every single point on this curve is a different mix of goods, say books and coffee, that would make you equally happy. Next, we draw a straight line for what you can afford. This is your budget line. It shows every possible combination of books and coffees you could possibly buy if you spent your entire budget. Anything above that line is, sadly, out of reach. And this is where the magic happens. Your personal sweet spot, your consumer equilibrium, is that one single point where your budget line just barely kisses the highest happiness curve you can possibly reach. It is the perfect, beautiful intersection of what makes you happiest and what you can actually afford. So, we've gone through utils and curves and constraints. It might seem a little academic. So, what does this actually mean for you when you're just standing there in the grocery store aisle?
Okay, the big takeaway is this. Your brain is an incredible supercomputer. You aren't consciously sitting there calculating utils per dollar in the cereal aisle, right? Of course not. But intuitively, subconsciously, your brain is running this exact program with every choice you make. This theory doesn't tell you what to do. It gives us the language to understand the brilliant, rational logic you're already using.
So the next time you're deciding between two brands, or just wondering if you should buy that extra coffee, remember the hidden logic that's at play. You are a walking, talking, satisfaction-maximizing machine. And now that you know the theory, will you ever look at your own shopping cart the same way again?